allows them to talk anywhere they want. They're the ones that I've seen over in Sonora. But Tamaulipas and the East Coast, you're going to have those things out there in the desert too, because they can talk with each other. So you need to be able to talk to your people as well, and that's why it's good to use encrypted communications. Cellcrypt, one of the companies. There are several companies that provide encrypted communications because unlike here, where it is against the law for me to ask someone, it is against federal law if I ask someone if they know where I can get a receiver to intercept self-traffic. It's even worse if you own one. They have them there. The Israelis sell them. They're $38,000 a piece. And so they're common in Mexico. They read your cell traffic. They know where you're going. So if you encrypt, it's a whole lot more. It's more difficult for them to penetrate your whereabouts and plan for your demise. In this case, a kidnap. So I called our analyst in London, and they ran the three big oil companies. They ran Pemex. They ran, some friends of mine have oil field support companies, et cetera. And they ran FAMSA, which is a huge company in Mexico. And what they came up with, let's see if I can go back one. Let's see. Well, what they came up with was, well, anyway, the slide's coming up. But just for the heck of it, can you guess? There were I think the three big U.S. oil companies plus Pemex plus a few big support companies, big ones, et cetera. Can you guess how many corporate emails and passwords are available for sale in the dark cloud? Anybody got a guess? 100, 200, 300,000? What do you think? How about a guess? Only 7 companies, including Pemex. Somebody give me let's see a hand. How many? 500? 10 times that. Okay, that's short. Keep going. 10,000. Americans statistically use the same password for everything. So if your corporate password, if your corporate email is available and the password, then technically they can, if they're really good, they'll weasel into your company's server. But they also have access to your bank accounts. I called, had to make a phone call to Washington, and I told them what I had, and I told them that in my opinion it was at least collateral and maybe TS. So they agreed, and so I had to erase a bunch of it. But the bottom line is that, so I put me up there and this lady from Nicaragua, but it was the president of one of the big 3 oil companies. It had his wife, his kids' names, his corporate email, and his passwords for his bank accounts and all that. That's for sale in the dark cloud. The analysts that we use masquerade as primo hackers, so they have access to this through TOR and some of the other, well, TOR is how they communicate, but through some of these clandestine communication links, they get into the dark cloud, and this information is available for sale. So this is not good. This is not good news, but it happens to be the truth. So every 6 months, change your passwords. You can buy these things, phone apps, that's like Password Lock, for example. One password, all of the other passwords are in your phone, and and without that, you can't get to them. So there are lots of ways to increase your security 100-fold by a $4 app. So anyway, and one guy was his email, et cetera, was all discovered because he was playing poker. It's the online poker game, and so he put all that stuff on the online poker game. That's what that WPT Amateur Poker League, that's how that one was compromised. So basically, you got to do a risk analysis, and all these things that I've told you so far had to be included in your risk analysis. What am I up against if I do operations in Mexico? You need to have an entire list of what you may be up against and evaluate the risk to your company and to your employees. Make sure you evaluate all those risks. Then you plan for those risks. Those are the systems, your perimeter barriers, your access control, your closed-circuit TV, your intrusion detection systems, and under U.S. law, the fire system has to be separate because that's a separate power supply in case your primary system fails, your fire system works. Then a contingency plan, a contingency plan per risk. So if something goes wrong, what do? Well, if you got a plan, Murphy's Law says it's not likely to happen. In 44 countries, I've met Murphy's relatives, and they speak every stinking language in every country I've been in, and they're real good at being Murphy. And you do your risk management. You want to involve your trusted partners. This means that your contractor that handles your security, that they should be part of that. The nice thing about so many American companies bidding and offering solicitations for exploring for oil in Mexico is that all of you together make a real solid network. Share information with each other. If I find out something, if something weird happened and they got through my defenses, I want my friends to know that, because you may have the same defenses, they just haven't gotten to you yet. And if you show up, if you run fiber or quantum secure example, there are several exhibitors here have precisely the right answer to these kinds of questions. So call them up. Architecture and design, you want to make sure that you've got a place for your people to go. If gunfire occurs at nighttime, you want to make sure there's plenty of light and they know how to go. In one case, the cafeteria is level 6+, and the door is level 6+2. So all the employees run to the cafeteria, they lock the door, and they stay there until the all-clear signal is given, and then they leave. So one building is armored, the rest of them aren't, but that's where they go. And the sensors are far enough out to where they have time to get to the cafeteria and get safe before something occurs. Then the local security company does their battle with the gang members, whatever they are. A lot of times they're not cartel, they're just lower level gang people in some of these rural areas. And then that fire's put out, and then the employees are released back to their housing. And so you want to make sure they can hear it. So very, very, very loud mustering alarms, and everybody has to know where the mustering area is. And once a month, just practice, have a practice, make sure they know how to get there. So, and perimeter barriers, you want ram-proof gates, etc. The time level, there are several vendors out here that have very, very strong gate resistance. And you want strong physical barriers and strong electronic barriers. Rely heavily on electronics. Integrated systems are the preferred way to go because they are A, cost-effective, and B, they interact. If I put my card in there, it's got a photo of Mike Wall, my card. If I give my card to you, and you try to get in, you're not me, bingo, anti-passback. You're denied access. We're done at close-circuit TV and IDS systems. Probably 15% of what you paid for your big system, you can put in a covert system to back up your primary system. And if for some reason you lose fiber, you lose coax, etc., even a little wireless system that transmits to your control center will discover some things you actually had no idea were going on. Very cheap to put a redundant system in, and very advisable. Fire alarm, obviously. And then every 6 weeks, every 6 months, whatever they recommend, run a test on the system to ensure that it performs properly. So here's what I did. This is the 10,000 plus. I just encrypted everything because I couldn't put the true names, etc. But 1,459 emails, corporate emails with passwords were stolen 3 weeks ago on the 18th of April, which means it's going on all the time. And the people that they were stolen from, the company that was victimized, they're in this room. That just happened, and you're here. So this stuff has not happened 2, 3, 4 years ago. This is 3 weeks ago. This stuff goes on every single day. CSID. And so anyway, I missed one there. How do you go backwards? Okay, social media. Social media is extremely risky. There are a couple of reasons. I have a cousin who has a grandson, and the grandson's a drama queen, so he posts all this crap on Facebook. Okay, so he gets a phone call from a lawyer in Mexico City, so he says, and they know all about this kid. In fact, it's the kid talking. And my cousin's a lot older than I am, but he's a rocket scientist for Southwest Research. He's real smart. He believed it was his grandson. So he went to Western Union, he put 15 grand, sent it to Mexico. Finally tracked down Junior at his high school in Colorado, and he was safe. So he raced back to Western Union, and they had not drawn the money. So he got his 15 grand back. But that is how good the imitator, that's a virtual kidnap. It was that good, and this guy he's the hardest guy to fool I know, and they fooled him just like that, because the imitator, who had several conversations with this kid, got good enough to imitate him perfectly. It can happen, my cousin, it can happen to y'all too. And there's a 220,000 viruses malware daily. The black market, public, the private information is just available all over the place. Anonymous, they got into Stratfor, for example. Those I have words for people like that, but I can't say them now. But they have access, and they use that access, and they come in and they penetrate, and they take what is very valuable, and they sell it or they use it to embarrass you. A lot of times it's for sale on the dark cloud. And it's just like reading the want ads. You want XYZ Corp, here it is. Here are how many emails, and here's how many emails, passwords, and how much it costs. Okay, we're getting close. So anyway, the bottom line is you've got